Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 5th installment of the 180 build guide. And that's because I have a balance now. I have a max balance. Yippee! But yeah, so if you've seen my other build guides for 180, you'll know that I do a comparison of the 180 stats to the 170 stats. I won't be doing that this time because I didn't make a 170 build guide for balance. So yeah, we're just going to be going in with the 180 gear. And honestly, it's a lot more boring than you're expecting it to probably be. It's a pretty simple straight shot down the line. I'll give some alternatives for some pieces, but yeah, let's just get right into it and swap the gear. This is my balance stitch, by the way. But let's go over the stats. We'll go over the gear. I'll tell you where to get the gear, and we will get on our merry way. Pop the potion. Starting off, we have 13,783 health. It's a pretty normal amount. Yeah, it's a pretty good amount. It's not anything crazy like ice or even life, but 13,700, almost 14,000 health is pretty good. For damage, I have 240, so it's a little bit above what the old hard cap was, but a lot less than something like death's damage. I also have 194 damage to death using a bunch of pins, if you're into that. For the resist, I have 61 across the board and then 73 with storm, and that's to my pin on the hat. It's a shield pin. I have perfect accuracy, and then also have some additional accuracy into death for my feints. We know that's perfect accuracy because you only need 15% for all of your balance spells, so that is plenty. Moving on to the advanced character stats, we have 860 crit, which is honestly pretty good. Like storm gets 1,000, for example, so 860 is pretty decent. And then we also have 800 block, which is also pretty good, so you won't get crit on as much, or the multiplier will be a lot less from bosses and other mobs. And then for pierce, I have 33 death pierce, which is actually pretty good for just kind of fucking around with pins, and then 50 balance pierce. And that's because 50 pierce is kind of like the staple of what you really want. You can go higher on the damage if you get rid of some pierce. You can see I have 2 polished piercing jewels, which are the 6%, so that's 12% pierce coming from my jewels, and that could be about 20 more damage, but you really want to have 50% pierce to get through the enemy's base resist, because after a certain point, I might be wrong on this, but I think it's starting in caramel, maybe a little bit above caramel, enemies start to have universal resist, like all of them do, so you really want to get a bunch of pierce. That's where pierce becomes really important. And then we have perfect pip chance, we have a decent amount of arch mastery, and then shads. I mean, I haven't used a shadow in a long time. We also have 900 pip conserve, which is pretty good. You have 70% on there. So if you're doing something like a blade storm in team gameplay, or I don't know, elemental blade spirit blade, you can pip conserve off that, which is pretty nice. So those are the stats. Let's get to the gear. And I'll say, just going off this hat, it's pretty much A-bomb gear through the entire line. It's a straight shot of A-bomb gear. It's a direct upgrade to the Reaver gear and the Avatar gear from 170, so make with that what you will. But starting off with the Doomed Aimbomb hat, it just gives pretty much the same stats as Reaver and Avatar, just a little bit more. And I'm not going to go through every single stat, but for the pins, I have the death, damage, and pierce on the swords, and then I have the shield pin on for storm. When it comes to pins, I think shield and power pins are the only ones you should like really actually care about, because for shield, getting 12 storm resist is pretty damn good. And then for power, you can get some accuracy, which is just kind of makes it more consistent in case you get like mantled or something. But yeah, that's pretty much the A-bomb hat. And this is farmed from Balar. It's the final dungeon in Darkmoor. For the robe, once again, it is the Doomed A-bomb suit. You actually do have a couple alternatives for your robe. You can rock either the Motorist robe from the Marleybone Pack 2. You can rock the Doomed A-bomb robe. You can rock the Plot armor from the Forbidden Library Gauntlet. This is just the one that was the easiest for me to access, so this is the one I'm rocking, and it gives a pretty much the same things as the Reaver and Avatar robe, just a little bit more in the stats. And then you get a power pin and then 2 sword pins, and so that's where I have my damages and my accuracies. And then also you get a 35% dragon blade, which is basically like a sharpened version of your balance blades. And in case you're curious, the Doomed A-bomb hat is a 30% blade, so that's 2 unique item card buffs right here. It's a 30% balance blade and then a 35% dragon blade. So those are 2 unique buffs for like universal damage, which is really good. And this is farmed from the Greyman Golem fight in Graveholm in Darkmoor. Moving on to the boots, it's the Doomed A-bomb boots. These are farmed from Balar, the final boss in Darkmoor. Same situation, it's better stats than Avatar and Reaver, and then you have your pins. I have the same pins for my robe. It's just death damage, pierce, and accuracy. And then you get a chastisement, which isn't really that good. You'll probably never use it. But it's just better in stats compared to something like the Reaver boots, so you don't really care about the item card that much. Moving on to the wand, you probably guessed it, it is the doomed A-bomb wand. It gives a little bit more in the damages and the pierces. This is a pretty big upgrade, so I would fully recommend getting this. This is from Balor, the final boss in Darkmoor. You also do get a tier slot. I haven't unlocked this one, but when I do, I'll probably put health on it because I already have the item cards on my athame rings, as you'll see. So that'll give you a little bit more health and get me closer to 14,000. Alternatively, you can just use the 180 raid wand, which are the exact same stats as this. So you can also do that. It's not the exact same. I believe it's shad instead of conserve. The things that matter, like the damage and pierce, are the exact same. Moving on to the athames, we are rocking the doomed A-bomb athame. And I hate how ugly this looks, but I'm rocking the item card sharpen on the tier jewel, a damage jewel, a pierce jewel, and then the 180 health jewel, which gives 765 health. And the A-bomb athame is from the Greyman Golem fight in Graveholm, same as the robe. And yeah, it's just a little bit better than the Reaver avatar. It gives a little bit more damage. If I remember, I think it's 1 or 2 more. And then these should be the same except for the health. And of course, you have these juicy jewel card slots. I will always recommend for the tier jewel getting Sharpened Blade and then Potent. And then the third one, you can do either like the Feint or Health. The third one doesn't really matter that much. But the first two, for Athame and Ring, I always recommend these as a utility because they're just really, really good for unique buffs. Moving on to the amulet, it's the Doom A-Bomb amulet. Same thing, just a little bit more resist, a little bit more health. This is something that you don't really need to upgrade. If you still want to rock Reaver or Avatar, that's honestly fine. This drops from the Hierophant, which is in the Black Lagoon, so it's a pretty easy fight. And it does give an item card Bladestorm, which is a pretty decent unique buff for something like maybe advanced content. If you're going to do like Challenge of Mount Olympus or something, then this is like a pretty nice unique buff. And then I have a damage jewel and then an accuracy jewel on there. And that accuracy jewel pretty much covers the entire accuracy that I need for all of my cards. But you do get natural accuracy from these other pieces of gear. So if you really wanted, you could put the like 10 Shadow Pip chance on the triangle. I believe that's a triangle jewel. But you could do that if you really wanted to. But I'm just going to be putting accuracy so that I can have a better chance through mantles. When it comes to the ring, I am rocking the Doomed A-Bomb ring. Same situation as the Athame. I'm rocking a utility item card, 1 damage, and then the 180 health jewel. This drops from the Sanderson sisters in Graveholm. It's a side quest fight. But yeah, it gives a little bit more damage, a little bit more health. I think a little bit more crit. And then you have the same jewel layout. And this is pretty much what you want. And that's honestly all I can really say about the ring. It's pretty simple. For the pet, I am rocking a triple damage proof breaker pet. This is probably one of my favorite pets of all time. Just stat-wise, it's just super balanced. And you get a lot of damage, a lot of resist, and then you get your universal pierce. Otherwise, I can also just rock a normal triple double, which would give me a little bit more resist. But I would be losing out on that pierce, so I'd have to make up for that pierce a little bit. Otherwise, you could rock quint damage, you could rock quad damage, pierce, mighty. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I always recommend this because I think it's just the most balanced for solo content when I'm just soloing. And then obviously triple double is just a really good pet for resist as well. For the mount, I just have a mount that I got from the raw Woodkey fight. It doesn't give any stats, so if you have a stout mount, you can rock it. Like, you know, the Volpine Avenger gives a little bit of pierce. Crystal Unicorn gives a little bit of accuracy, that kind of thing. If you have a stat mount, you might as well use it. I don't have any, so I'm just rocking ones that I think look pretty cool. Moving on to the final piece of gear, you guessed it, it is the A-Bomb deck. Now, this is one that I will say, you don't need to farm this. This does come from the Greyman Golem fight in Graveholm, same as the Athame and the Robe, but I think the stats are so minimal. Here, we have the Avatar deck here. The stats are so minimal that you don't really need to farm for this. I just happened to get one, so I was like, okay, I might as well just use it. But, you know, a little bit more Arch Mastery, a little bit more crit, a little bit more block, and a little bit more health. It's not too big of a change to warrant farming and dedicating time and potentially reagents to getting this piece of gear. If you have the Avatar or the Reaver deck, you can just keep that. It honestly doesn't really matter that much. The most important part is that you just have a circle jewel, so you can put on your pierce or your damage. But this does give an item card attenuate, which is pretty fun. You can't stack attenuates though, so like an item card attenuate is the same as a regular attenuate, so it doesn't really matter. But the Avatar deck does give a Bladestorm, so that's why I kind of have this one ready as well for a unique buff. Also, if you're curious, this is a little side tangent. If you're curious about the item card sharpen here and the item card sharpen here, they are different and they do stack. So that could be 1, 2, 3 sharpened blades that I can use for stacking if I really need to. But yeah, that about covers the entire build. Balance is in a pretty, I would say, fine spot. The stats are pretty good. You get a decent amount of resist, you get a decent amount of damage, you get a good amount of pierce and block. Rainbow Serpent is still good. So yeah, honestly, balance I would say is pretty balanced. It's annoying to say that, but balance is just pretty good. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If you're rocking a 180 balance, I hope you got some ideas and inspiration for your gear, and I will see you in the next one.